So the next person on the list of who I am so thrilled, who's not only, the only way that you got actually on this platform is that if we've worked together and we've gone through some global projects together, I wanted to have the folks that really wanted to play big. And Janeane Bernstein, Dr. Janeane Bernstein, is somebody that plays a big, big game. And he came over when I had my diagnosis, and again, no cameras were going, but the two of us sat down right here on this couch and had a good cry. And we talked about how I needed to own my wellness and how I needed to just really embrace it and embrace it with happiness. And the more that I loved on myself, the more that I was going to heal and I was going to get through this. And so with that, so Janeane, thank you so much for being on this. And I'm excited
Thank you.
The Science of Happiness panel.
I have a quick thing just to share with you before we start. Can you hear that?
And I also, I like that. And I'm also going to go ahead and introduce to you Rainey as well. And bring
Excellent.
So I'm going to unmute you, Rainey. And I'm also going to go ahead because she, like me, is all about the happiness.
Cool. And happy birthday.
Hi, how are you?
So much.
Let me just share my screen.
Okay.
And I want to I'll introduce my panelists, Dr. Kim Perkins, and Christine's on as well, Dr. Christine. So stand by 1 second. Let me just get this going here. Okay. Okay.
I love it.
Look at.
So again, happy birthday, Michelle. I can't tell you how much you mean to me. So you're just tremendous.
I love being with you. It's there's nothing that we can't do together.
You bet.
There's really, I mean, seriously, I'm running out of stuff. I'm like, shoot, we're crowdsourcing.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
That is true.
Okay, so let me introduce my panelists. Dr. Kim Perkins is an organizational psychologist, and Dr. Christine Weinkauff Duranso. Did I pronounce that correctly, Dr. Chris? Excellent. She's a positive developmental psychologist, assistant professor of psychological science at the University of North Georgia, and I'm so happy you're both joining us today. So, anybody in a funk right now? Because I know I've been through one personally, professionally, and we're all going through something. If we're not, our kids are, or somebody we know is going through something. And how we deal with life's curveballs is really affecting us mentally, physically, emotionally, even spiritually. So there are some simple ways to create positivity right now. And in the chat, I want to just ask some of you, what are some things you're doing to stay positive through all this? Let me just open up our chat. Oh, do we not have a chat? Oh, wait, here we go, chat. Okay, excellent. Oh, somebody's meditating. Excellent. Here, I'll share as well. Whoops. Walking. Of course, I'm messing up the slides as I'm doing that. Okay. Exercising. Great. Yeah, anything that involves movement. Absolutely. Walking the dogs, meditation, reading. It's good you guys are going out. I know originally, we definitely stayed home, but just being outside in the fresh air and moving your body is great. Dance class, excellent. Cooking. All right, so let me move things along. I want to just introduce something, and this will be a lead-in to the Science of Happiness. So I wrote this book called Get the Funk Out because I was in my own funk at the end of 2010, and I came up with this radio show, Get the Funk Out. And so I'm going to introduce 4 things that can help bring a lot of positivity right now. They might seem very obvious. Gratitude, really taking the time to think, what are the things, what are the people that you are thankful for right now? You know, we have a roof over our head. I'm very thankful. We have food on the table. I think about all the people that don't, all the people that are struggling in different ways. I think about the healthcare providers, the people in the front lines. Now's the time to really dial into what are the things that you are grateful for. And then as far as thoughtfulness, there's two types of thoughtfulness. Thoughtfulness for yourself, and now's the time to really have a lot of self-love, to take care of your mental, physical, and emotional health. It's really, really important right now. And then there's thoughtfulness for others, doing acts of kindness, even a neighbor, somebody you see that looks like they might need help or someone to talk to, because we are feeling very, very isolated right now. And flow is really an amazing thing. For any musicians that are listening to this, you get it. If you're a writer, anything that you do to submerge yourself and take your mind away from what is currently going on is a fantastic thing. And I highly encourage you to do this for your kids as well. And finally, optimism. And optimism is an attitude that can positively affect our mental and emotional health. So with that, I want to kick off and ask my panelists. We'll start with you, Kim. What is the science of happiness, and how does it relate to the field of positive psychology?
Thanks, Janeane. So the science of happiness is basically a disciplined study of what's going well with people. And so a lot of times it's pretty much equal to to positive psychology, although positive psychology contains other topics beyond happiness per se, such as meaning and purpose, all kinds of other well-being that I know Chris can speak to as well. And so the way it got started was that in the beginning of scientific psychology, when people were separating it from theology, we started to catalog dysfunction. And we know a lot about all the different ways that things can go badly and things can go wrong. And as Freud said, the idea of psychology was to bring us up to like a normal level of human suffering. Yeah. And so positive psychology and the science of happiness is an antidote to that, where the idea here is that we explore what goes well with people, what people's virtues are, what do good relationships look like, what does good work look like, what's good adult development through the lifespan. And so by casting a bit of a light on that, we know what we're here to aspire to, rather than just avoiding dysfunction.
And Chris, what are your views on this as well, if you want to add to that?
Oh, unmute yourself, Chris.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
There we go.
Hi, Chris.
Hi. So Kim did a great job of explaining, where positive psychology really came into its own 20 some years ago. And we really have learned a lot about the science of well-being, what it means to live a meaningful life and a purposeful life, not to discard those challenges and to, avoid them, but to look at those challenges that we face in our life, like illness, like being sheltered in place, and to find ways to be resilient, to build character, right? And to use some of those activities that you talked about earlier, gratitude and thoughtfulness, to make the best of those difficult situations.
Right. And really now's the time to dial into everything that you're both saying, because we need that resilience. We need that sense of purpose. And one of the things I talk about in some of the things I speak about as far as resilience and self-care is when you go and do something for somebody else, you kind of forget about how you're feeling and what you're going through. And that act of kindness is tremendous right now.
Absolutely. And it certainly is highlighted right now in this time, this crazy experience we're all going through,
right,
where we're really minimizing our ability to live the life that we have typically lived. But to really frame that, or to reframe that, and talk about not what I can't do and what I want to do, but what I can do. I'm staying home because that's helping other people to stay healthy.
Yes. And I just want to add, for anybody who's listening that has children, this is a great time to introduce them to these things as well. I mean, my daughters are cooking, painting, they might do things unexpectedly, like paint the back of their bedroom door, like my daughter did. Let's go with it. Let them be creative. Let them explore. Let them find ways to cope right now, because it's really hard. We need to have a lot of empathy for everybody right now. Oh, and I just want to add, we didn't mention the co-founders of this field are Dr. Martin Seligman and Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, which is a name that took me a little time to pronounce.
You got it.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yes, good job.
Thank you. So let's look at the habits of happy people. I just jotted some of these things down. They do acts of kindness. They nurture their relationships. They take care of their mental, physical, and emotional health. They experience flow, as we talked about. They are optimistic, mindful, and grateful, and they have meaning through spirituality, and they practice mindfulness. Chris, why don't we start with you? Do you want to add to some of this?
Oh, well, you know where I'm going to go with this. I'm going to add that happy people spend time outside.
Yes.
Right? We engage with the larger world, with nature, and happy people tend to spend a lot of time outside.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What about you, Kim? Oh, Kim, you are a professional skater. What am I talking about?
I'm definitely down for spending time outside.
Yes.
But you know, also happy people have a sense of autonomy. You know, when we think about there's a thing called self-determination theory, where people want to have like the idea is that people thought of that people being driven through all kinds of things through the history of psychology, but the idea of emphasizing their ability to master tasks.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to feel autonomous so that they're living their values and that they're able to express themselves and to be able to feel related to other people so that they know where their relationships are and they feel like a deeper connection. Those are some other hallmarks of happy people.
So maybe you could both share what you're doing right now to instill happiness in your lives or things you've heard other people are doing.
Well, one thing that I'm doing is I have my Burning Man hair on today.
I noticed that, and I think that is so cool.
It is large.
Talk about that.
And and it's honestly, it's something that makes me. I feel like I have a lot more swagger. I can't hide with this hair on, So when I walk around, I get looks, and sometimes I get people coming up and asking me about it, and it's something that just kind of brings me out of my shell. So in the first, just speaking honestly here, in the first couple of weeks of this pandemic, there involved a lot of life changes for me, and I was really kind of in a down place. Yeah. And so I decided, well, since there's no Burning Man this year, I'm going to put this in, and then I'm just going to have to own it. And so that is what I have done.
I kept looking at it, and I'm saying, that's some kind of cool scarf. Like, what is that look? Because I really love that.
Thank you.
I don't know that I can top blue hair, although I think we can all speak to the fact that our hair looks, a little different than it typically does right now, right? For me, I've really been nurturing the relationships I have with my neighbors. I just moved to Athens, Georgia last summer, so this is a new home for me. And so I'm really getting to know some of my neighbors. And so we have evening balcony chats where we all come out on our balcony and we talk with each other and, share highs and lows from the days, which has been really fun. And one of my daughters, one of my adult daughters lives in New York, and she's here. She's been
good.
The last 5 weeks. Yeah. I think it's great. I think she's probably feeling a little isolated from her social life and her friends.
Right.
But we get to go on daily walks in nature and just enjoy the slowness, right, that we've been kind of forced into. But there's a lot of joy in the slowness that we're now. Yeah.
I know, because I see a lot of grandparents with grandkids and people out more, and it's a really interesting time where people are doing things they wouldn't normally do because they don't make the time.
Absolutely. There's a lot of bread making going on, right? I hear there's a lot of bread.
Me too, but not always successful. So I'm going to share what I do. So I got these hats, Get the Funk Out.
Ooh.
And
nice.
I'll take a walk, right? And people will look at me and they'll smile, they'll take a double take. And I have made a point, because everybody's, masks and glasses, I made a point of saying hello to people, because not everybody seems like they want to say hello. They're very nervous. And we have a lot of distance, but I make a point of seeing how many people will say hello. I make the first move, because I want people to know it's okay and it's good to open up. And I recognize older people from the gym, and I'll engage with them. So just something to reach out and recognize people, to stop for a moment and pause and just engage with conversation is really good.
I think that's a great point. And it harkens back to something that Kim said earlier about feeling connected, you know, that in this time where we do feel so isolated because we're not going out and living our lives the way we typically do, we need to really make a point to connect with others. And it can be as simple as saying hello to the people that you see out on the street,
Yes.
or making, you know, scheduling Zoom meetings with your siblings and your family, or with your neighbors, so that we're making new ways to connect with others.
You bet. So I made a list of some self-care activities, and I tweaked them considering what we're going through right now. So I added sleep to the top of the list because I don't know about you, but if I don't sleep, I'm like this crazy person. Believe it or not. I just don't feel good. I need a certain amount of, you know, hours of sleep, and having routines and rituals. So for me, I still get up early. I still like to, you know, have things that I'm planning to do. I think, you know, also with everybody being in the house, there's a lot of tension sometimes, and knowing that you can say, hey, I'm going to work at this time, and then let's all come together is really important. Could you speak to that a little bit? Maybe we'll start with Kim. Go ahead.
Yeah, I can speak a little bit to the Zoom calls. You know, it's been interesting for me as an organization person watching how the meetings have kind of evolved over the last few weeks. They started off, first of all, everybody was just dying to talk to each other, like, oh my God, people. And then it kind of got into a little meeting thing. And then we're like, well, we're all just 20 people talking at once on the Zoom call. What do we do about that? So I feel like this is a time when we really get to use our creative brains and invent new ways to really connect with people over Zoom. So, because sometimes just the usual won't do, you know, and so there's times like I've been encouraging people to be able to have moments of silence when we're all just sit here with each other instead of feeling like we have to fill that because it's entertainment and we're all on screen, you know, to make it feel more like a call. Sometimes some groups I'm in, they start saying I'm done when they're done, so that people aren't just sitting there going, where do I put myself in it? And,
I see people going like this.
Yeah.
Like a little kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Connor.
Pick me. I know.
So I think this is a time when we can be really creative and invent new rituals. I have a little spinner game on my phone. It's called Tiny Decisions, and you can make like a Wheel of Fortune kind of
I
thing.
like that.
You know, and that way you can make it more engaging. So like for some of our happy hours, it'll be like, who's going to spin the wheel? Okay, you. And then we say, okay, sing us a song, or take us on a tour of your place, or go find an object that has a story behind it and tell us about it, or something like that, where we can start to get to know each other.
Is that an app?
It's an app called Tiny Decisions. I'll put it in the chat.
Tiny Decisions. Okay.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Yes. My siblings and I have been playing trivia in our little sessions too. So it's, you know, something that just kind of lightens the mood, you know.
Yes.
And gives you something to distract.
I like that.
Typical conversations. Yeah, sure.
Well, some of the things you see on this list are time with your pets, doing yoga, meditation, mindfulness, pampering. Some people do face masks or whatever it is they want to do. Cooking is fun. Obviously, taking a tech break, you know, really disconnecting so you can dial into those relationships in your house, or making those phone calls, connecting with people that you know are alone is so important. We see a lot of people on TikTok musically, which is super cool. How creative is that? And then painting and drawing and writing, kind of getting into that flow, I thought was a good one. Being really kind to yourself. I was saying earlier to some people that, you know, sometimes we feel like we want to cry. We feel like we want to scream. There's a lot of anxiety, but kind of flipping that and thinking, what am I going to do to take the best care of myself? So I don't watch the news a lot, honestly, because that stuff feels very toxic to my mind and upsets my sleep. So knowing when to kind of shut down and just take care of yourself is really important.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And limiting the amount of time you're engaging in the news is really important. It can be a little overwhelming. Toxic is a very good description. My daughter...
Go ahead.
My daughter and I have taken to writing handwritten letters to
Oh, I
people,
love
so that they have
Yeah.
something, other than a bill in the mailbox. And
Yes.
it takes us away from technology too. So we're not just Zooming or texting with people, but handwriting a letter, which has been really fun.
That's a wonderful thing. Like even a teacher. I remember years ago writing to my writing teacher from high school, and she was quite old at the time, but I just wanted her to know how much she meant to me. And I mailed the letter. I mean, I don't think you should tell somebody with an emoji or a text how much they mean to you. I think now's the time to write the letter, pick up the phone. There's nothing like the power of somebody's voice, especially now.
Absolutely. And that ties into some of the research from positive psychology that talks about expressions of gratitude to the people that have really had an impact in your life. And one way you can do that is to write them a letter or to call them and talk to them and just express to them how much they've meant to you and how they've changed your life. It's not only great for them, but it's really great for us to recognize those people that have had important roles in our lives.
Yes. I actually reconnected with my advisor from Syracuse University, and we talk on the phone, we email, and it has been amazing because without him, I would not have gone into the direction of communications and education. And I just value that. And I always make a point of telling him that because it's just important. And it does make me feel good too, to get my feelings out there.
Definitely. Definitely.
What would you both say, let me just check the time, to people? I know I have kids. I mean, they're older, 17 and 20, but there's a lot of disappointment right now. We've got 8th graders that can't graduate. We've got seniors in high school, like my daughter, so upset about graduation, or a senior in college or whoever. It's really hard. I mean, I'm empathetic, but what advice would you give to parents that are struggling with kids that are facing that?
That's a really good question. I think first and foremost, recognizing that these are really huge milestones in their lives that they've been looking forward to. And maybe we don't see it as such a big deal, because it's been so long ago since we went through that. And we recognize later in life that, high school graduation was okay, but it wasn't the big deal, that we thought it was. But I would say recognize it's important to them.
Yes.
So making sure they understand you take their feelings seriously.
You bet.
Right? And then come up with some creative alternatives. Maybe take graduation pictures, even though they don't have that commencement experience. And make something special that's different to highlight that day for them.
Yes, that's a great idea. What about you, Kim? What do you think?
I think Chris has got it covered. And I have to tell you, I don't have kids and I don't know a lot about kids' special needs. But so I'm going to talk about, sometimes we joke, we've seen that meme where we joke about our kids are now our coworkers. So I'm going to talk about our coworkers. because our coworkers and the people around us that we have relationships with that are other adults, they also need the same thing in a way. They need acknowledgement. There's maybe a time when it's harder to make new relationships and make that trust work. And this is a time when we really, when giving, being more vulnerable and giving of ourselves, and showing how we're thinking, not just what we're trying to do, but how we're trying to do it and how the context around it is so helpful for people. So even though our channels of communication are much narrower by not being able to be there in person, we can bring extra context to it on purpose in order to help make people feel taken care of and that, like, they're cared about, and just asking what's going on with them and sharing a little bit about what's going on for us can make a huge difference.
You bet.
That's good.
Thank you. That's great.
My daughter and I have implemented this kind of funny way that we deal with getting on each other's nerves, because we both are accustomed to living alone. So we have a fake roommate named Amanda.
Gosh. What's her name? Wait, what's her name? Amanda. Okay.
And so when, for instance, when my daughter leaves the lights on, which she does all the time, I will say, "Gosh, Amanda keeps leaving the lights on. It's so annoying."
I love that.
Oh, so good.
God,
it's working really well.
I feel like one of you has to dress up like Amanda, like like in Halloween, change your hair and glasses and be like, "Hey, I'm Amanda. Sorry."
Love it.
Oh, that is great. And that offsets any kind of, anger or whatever, to turn it into humor is everything.
Yes.
Yeah, we all are dealing with extra stress, and we all take that out in different ways. But anytime we can laugh about it, that's the best.
I agree
Exactly.
completely. If anybody has any questions, please put them into the chat. We can take questions now. We'll as we're going to do a little activity right now. I hope everybody brought their chocolate. Do you have your chocolate? If you don't have your chocolate, run and get your chocolate.
I have a chocolate croissant. Really excited about
You
this.
can't do a chocolate meditation with a chocolate croissant unless you put
gonna
the
try.
chocolate chips out. Will you be cramming that entire croissant into your mouth? No.
Off camera, maybe.
Okay. So we're gonna kick this off. You know what? I forgot. I want to just read my little happiness pledge, because we do have 1 minute before we jump into the meditation, and that'll give everybody a chance to grab their little piece of chocolate. The happiness pledge. I will start each day by taking a deep breath and focusing on my gratitude. I will work on myself every day by taking care of my mental, physical, and emotional well-being. I will strive to instill happiness in my life, because happiness makes me a better person in my relationships. I will strive to achieve realistic goals and fulfill my ambitions, but not feel derailed if they do not come to fruition. I will trust my gut and stay tuned to when things do not feel right. I will not change myself to please others. I will live my life according to my own internal compass. I will tell myself that I'm worthy of love, happiness, and joy, and I will love myself. I will surround myself with people that make me happy, my tribe, my posse, my people. And finally, I will try things that are new and different, because the unexpected can bring joy. Okay, everybody have their chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a little mindfulness meditation using something most of us do like, and Kim, you're familiar with this. I want you to hold your chocolate gently in your hand and close your eyes and just take some deep breaths. Make sure you're sitting comfortably and allow your body to relax and feel supported. Notice the sounds in the room and gradually bring your attention inward to your breath. Take a few moments just breathing and being aware of how it feels to be here right now. Notice the shape and contours of the chocolate. Move it from hand to hand and notice the weight of the chocolate. Bring it to your nose and see if you notice a scent. Go ahead and unwrap it right now. Notice the sound it makes, the texture, the shape of the chocolate, and take in all the details. Now move it towards your nose and breathe in the smell of the chocolate. Move it towards your mouth and hold it right there. What sensations, emotions, and thoughts do you notice? What is going through your mind and body right now? Notice any urges you feel to eat it, but gently bring your attention back to the sensation of the chocolate in your hand. Now, open your eyes and look at the piece of chocolate in your hand. What color is it? How does it feel? Open the chocolate slowly. Do you feel a sense of anticipation or an urge to immediately put that chocolate in your mouth? What physical sensations do you have? And what emotions are you feeling? Does the smell trigger any other senses? Now, place the chocolate in your mouth, but do not eat it. Enjoy the tastes and the flavors, subtle and strong. How does it feel? Hold the chocolate in your mouth for as long as possible, letting it melt, letting your tongue explore its texture and taste. Where in your mouth can you taste it? What is the consistency? What is happening with your mouth, teeth, tongue, and your lips as it melts? Move the chocolate around your mouth. Does the taste change? What is happening to the chocolate? And how do you feel? Now, swallow the chocolate, focusing on the sensation. Is there a lingering taste? And how do you feel physically and emotionally? Take a second while you consider the experience. How is this different from your general chocolate eating experiences? More intense, frustrating, more pleasurable? Now bring your attention back to your breath and to your feelings. Close your eyes and rest for a moment, just breathing and being aware of how you feel. Is this different from how you felt when we first started? Bring your attention back to the room, the sounds, the weight of your body in the chair, and your feet touching the ground. You can open your eyes now. So in the chat, if people could just tell me how they're feeling right now, that would be great. Oh my God, totally different experience of the chocolate. Divine. I love this pair. Thank you for sharing it. I know you do notice more. You take in the flavors. I mean, the idea is really slow life down. Take it all in. Focus on the details. We're all rushing through life. Do you, Kim, we'll start with you. Did you want to add anything to this?
It was really hard not to eat it. It was really hard. But I noticed
really
how hard
wanted-
it was, and it was great to notice that instead of just.
Did you eat the whole croissant, or?
I took one bite.
Okay, and you savored.
Enough to get. I savored. Yeah, I savored. I noticed the colors, and it was really good. Oh my God.
What about you, Chris?
I was really thinking in my mind, I wanted to watch Kim eat that croissant.
I was kind of smiling as I was reading this going, is she going to eat the whole croissant? What will happen to that croissant?
I was really expecting to see Kim come onto the screen with, crumbs on her face.
Yeah. Ducking her blue hair.
Yes.
That is how it will be as soon as we are done here, believe me.
That was a great meditation, and I think such a great example of how when we slow down, we do see the world around us and its complexity and the texture.
Yes.
And the beauty that's right in front of us that we just don't necessarily take the time to see every day.
I know. We're always so fast, whatever we're doing, whether we're drinking our coffee, brushing our teeth, whatever it is. I wanted to just add something I forgot to mention. And Kim, we had talked about this at our Science of Happiness event, how happiness is actually affected or influenced by three things: genetics, life circumstances, which is what we're going through now, and your life choices. So the best thing is to focus on the choices, the things you can control in achieving happiness and having those habits of happiness and dealing with what we're going through.
Absolutely. It sounds counterintuitive, but by focusing on the things that you can influence, it actually widens the amount of things that circle expands, and it widens the amount of things that you have influence over. And so just even the bit we did with our chocolate today,
Yes.
I felt that it was when you really slow down and notice, you're taking the emphasis off of yourself and your experience, and you're seeing what else is out there. And that's a way of both dealing, that instinct to savor and investigate and invoke that curiosity can make us less centered on our own pain and discomfort and more interested in what's happening in the world. And that in itself makes it easier, better, more likely that we will deal with the outside external things that need to get done even better.
Absolutely.
That was awesome, ladies. Thank you so much. I just want to thank you guys for showing up and being here and sharing the science of happiness with us. And you ladies have been officially shared on LoveFest 2020. And we hope you'll come back and you'll join us again on the podcast.